3, 2, 1, go.
Hi, folks.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of our Sunday question and answer video.
It's a beautiful day.
Yeah, it is a beautiful day. We finally have sun. We can see the sun here. Actually, no more haze.
The haze from the fire.
But yeah, no, we have to apologize for not putting out a video last week. And we also have to apologize for not having the data the week prior. Yeah.
Do we need to apologize?
Okay. Well, I think Santo, the maker of the SD card, needs to apologize actually to us because we recorded all the videos on Tuesday like we normally do, and this particular Tuesday I had planned a vacation to leave on Tuesday, so I grabbed the little memory card. I was going to take that with me, edit, upload, and last 4 files weren't working, and last 4 files happened to be all the numbers for the previous week. And so yeah, I think Santo owes us an apology. But
Santo, I think if we just say no more vacations for you,
yeah,
we're good.
That's the real solution.
We're good.
We have run into this before, and we're usually able to just refilm it. But anyways, there are more exciting theories that came out of that week, and I think the best one here comes from Hill4377, and Hill says the real estate boards are trying to silence the channels that show the market. This is the second guy who lost his data. You know exactly why they stopped sharing.
Our data got stolen back.
Hill, I assure you that, or anyone watching, I assure you that the market or the real estate boards are not trying to silence us. They can't necessarily take our data because our data comes directly from the MLS board. We produce all the charts, we produce all the data, or all the numbers, everything that you see on our videos. We produce that straight from data from the MLS. So no, they were not trying to silence us. It was a much more boring explanation. And that was SanDisk owes us an apology. But yeah, numbers are back. Everything's back to normal, hopefully.
Man, you don't know how many people while you're away, I was responding to sorry technical difficulties.
I know.
Sorry technical difficulties.
And you know what the problem is?
They were getting mad. They didn't believe me.
And you know what the problem is now? And the problem is now I'm never going to be allowed to go on vacation.
That's right.
Because if this happens,
you're lucky you get to eat once a day.
I know.
Once a day he gets it.
So yes, this has officially ruined any chance of going on vacation ever again. But next comment here, we'll go to Mr. Mad Deck, who says, and this is with regards to our video we did on that week where there were no numbers, and we were talking about the whole situation of the tenants in common, where they had put basically someone on title that was just signing to help this person get a mortgage, help his family member get a mortgage. And they put him there as 99% in order to qualify for 99% of the land transfer tax rebate.
Correct.
And so Mr. Matt Deck says, not sure how he gets more than 1%. Can you clarify? You mentioned he asked for half.
Oh, I think he's got the story a little bit wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, so can I do this real quick?
Okay, quick.
Okay. So there's a guy who wants to buy a house. He doesn't quite qualify for the mortgage. He's close, but doesn't qualify. So he asks the family member, hey, can you come on title with me? Help me qualify for the mortgage. But I'm making all the payments. The original guy, the first guy, is making all the payments, mortgage payments, bill payments, living in the house. The other guy, the family member he brings on, is just to sign the name so he qualifies for the mortgage. The family member says, sure, I'll help out. Turns out that family member is a first-time home buyer, and there's a first-time buyer rebate. So they decide that family member, the first-time home buyer, that they were going to put him on title for 99% so they could take full advantage of 99% of the land transfer tax rebate. And the actual, we'll say actual in air quotes, owner is only going to be 1% title, but he's the one making all the bill payments and living in a home. Everything's going great. A few years later, the 1% guy, the owner, wants to sell the home. There's a bit of a profit there. And all the profit is really the way they agreed to verbally is supposed to go to the 1% guy because it's his home. He's making all the payments. But the 99% guy that was just on title for name only says, hey, you wouldn't have had any profit if I didn't put my name on there. So I'm not going to squeeze you technically for 99% of the profit because he could And that's what the lawyer was also saying, that when I distribute the profit, it'll be distributed 99% and 1%. The 99% guy says, look, I want at least half. That's the story.
Yes. And it brings up a whole bunch of, I hope that clarifies the situation. So, but it brings up a whole bunch of situations where, okay, so now the person that went on as name only, they had no intention of owning the property. Now they've lost their first time home buyer rebate.
Yep.
So when they go to purchase, they're going to have to pay the full land transfer tax. They don't get any rebate. So, in my opinion, I feel like they should be compensated for that.
The bare minimum.
At the bare minimum. And then there is the question of, the person would not have been, the initial person would not have been able to purchase the property without the help of this person. And this person that went on as 99%, regardless if you're on as 1%, 99%, if you're on the mortgage, you're still assuming the risk of the mortgage, right? So if that person, if the person that was initially buying the property ended up defaulting or anything like that, the consequences come down on both of them. It doesn't just come down on one. And so
there is a risk.
And so there was a risk to doing that as well. And so what's the compensation for that? And that brought up a really interesting scenario, but definitely something that you should all get in writing early on to avoid.
That's
right?
the real conclusion to this is, what's the takeaway? Whatever you agree with or to, or whatever the arrangement is, get it in writing up front early on. Give it to your lawyer.
Yeah.
Get it agreed to on lawyer papers. Like, just know exactly how it's going to get split up early on. Know the exit strategy.
Yeah, exactly. So lawyer papers, do they have a
lawyer
special
papers.
Type of paper? They're legal size?
Legal
it's only
size.
valid if it's on a legal size paper.
With legal ink. Don't you know these things?
But anyways.
These young guys today, they don't know anything about legal paper.
So, next comment here comes from Amanda Camo Creates. And this was with regards to our video that was titled, so the title of the video was, "You're Really Not Going to Like This." And basically, Amanda here says, why is the assumption that first-time homeowners and want-to-be owners who haven't engaged in the housing market aren't part of your audience? What fear should I be feeling if prices are coming down? So that title...
Oh, she's not getting the point of the title.
I don't think so. So that title is basically just a line in the situation that happened. That was a line that an agent used and told my dad, basically, because he had a seller who was going to be affected by this sale price. We're not saying that you, as the person watching, are really not going to like that prices are coming down. That's not what we're saying. We just decided to use a line from part of the situation as the title, but it has nothing to do with whether prices coming down are good and bad, whether you're going to like it, whether you're not going to like it. It was just a line that was used because we had a seller.
We quoted what a realtor said to me.
Yes, exactly. So it has nothing to do with first-time homeowners or want-to-be owners and feeling not addressing them in our content. It was just, as I said, I mentioned it too many times. Okay, so next comment here comes from D. Trent.
Paisan.
So D. Trent says, Santo, do you think there will be more foreclosures in the condo market or detached markets?
Mr. Trent, Paisan, let me change foreclosure to power of sale, first of all, because we don't do foreclosures here. And I would say, if I had to take an educated guess, it's going to be in the condo market for two main reasons. One is the sheer volume of condos that are being built and completed, although, completed over this year, last year, next year. The sheer volume versus the freehold market. And two, so a lot more investors bought into the condo market than they did into the freehold market. More of the freehold market buyers are end users, whereas the investor, a lot of them bought condos, had no intention of actually closing, didn't think they'd have to close, so they weren't really, truly prepared to close and are qualified to close. So I think we're going to see more power of sales going on in a condo market.
Yes. And so next comment here comes from Arjun Sagal. And Arjun says, Why do you usually have downtown at 0 when there are sold signs all over houses downtown? So now Arjun is referring to our map that we have split up into different areas.
The
and
freehold map.
Freehold map specifically. If you notice in the downtown core, it almost always says 0.
Yes.
Sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 2, but almost always 0.
I'm going to just add, it's the freehold map, but it's the detached freehold map. Only detached property.
Well, exactly. So that's why it's always 0 or almost always 0, because it's speaking specifically about detached properties. And there are a lot of semis, or I shouldn't say a lot, but there are definitely more semis and towns in those pockets, in that pocket that sell than detached.
Yeah, that's the downtown core. It's just
what is the active listing? I think the active listings is like, if I'm not mistaken, it's like 8 or something.
That's not much.
It's usually very, very little in terms of actual detached homes in the downtown core. So that's why, Arjun.
I think one week we had 2.
Yeah.
We were trying to rally for a parade.
Yeah, that was a big week. But anyways, so next comment here comes from Scoobs63.
Scoobs.
And
Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
Scoobs says, Santo, I have a question, not related specifically to this. With all those empty condos on the market in Toronto, when does the empty home tax hit the owners of these properties?
Great question.
Yeah.
The vacant home tax, the way I understand it is, if the home is empty for minimum 6 months, you are going to get dinged with a tax. How they monitor that, how they figure that out, can't say 100% for sure that that's working properly. And, I can't add too much to that. It's supposed to be when property is vacant for 6 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this empty area, this vacant home tax, I mean, while it sounds good kind of on paper, I think there's anyone that's been involved in purchasing second, third, fourth property, like multiple properties. I think for the most part, they also have ways of getting around something like this.
Well, right? The home could be vacant. The condo could be vacant. You put it on the market for sale. There's some condos for sale for more than 6 months.
Yeah, that's true. So I guess that's an easy way to enforce it.
Are you going to get dinged? You've been trying to sell. You don't want to put a tenant in there because it's going to be harder to sell.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an interesting point.
Yeah, that is an interesting point.
See things that come up on his channel on the fly.
But yeah, so that empty home tax, I don't know if it's really making a dent in anything. I think that there are a lot of people that have figured out ways to get around something like that. But yeah, next comment here comes from Peace So Go Bind. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but this comment, I'm not gonna lie, it bothered me a little bit.
The comment bothered you?
Bothered me a little.
Let's hear it.
So this person says, if the seller knew, so this was, okay, sorry, I should preface this by saying this was with regards to our video where we were talking about, the long closing. The seller wanted to change their mind and they didn't want to close at the end. The buyer didn't want to close at the end because they could get the same house for cheap.
Right? Such a long closing. And so prices came down and the buyer's like, I could buy the same house cheaper now.
So why would I close on this?
Why do I close? Okay.
So this comment says, if the seller knew the market was going down, they were being extra devious.
You're right. This comment bothers me too.
Doesn't it?
Come on. Like, is that like, I think we don't want to discourage you from leaving comments, but come on.
That bothered me. You know what? I think
so when the market's going up and the buyer buys, is the buyer being devious?
Yeah, exactly.
Come on.
I feel like so many of these situations that we talk about on a daily basis on our videos, a lot of them stem from people not wanting to take responsibility for their actions. If you make a decision that you're going to commit to doing something. And then because the circumstances, and it's not even the circumstances that like, it's not like this person lost their job. It's not like that. The market changed and they didn't want to buy it now. Like, that's child stuff.
Right.
It's absolutely ridiculous that someone would think that
the sellers were hiding the fact that they knew the
market was going down. Like,
are we still talking about
like
this?
We're all adults here. This is
Like,
such a weird.
Come on.
I'm sorry, but this comment made me upset. But and that's also I think putting too much credit to the seller, knowing that the market was going down.
I mean,
it's I just think it's a ridiculous comment. Sorry, Pisu, go blind. But anyways, next comment here comes from Parth Patel, and it's with regards to that same video. And Parth asks, I've always asked these realtors, and most of them were clueless. The question was, how should I safeguard against the time between my finance condition being removed and the closing date? What if my job goes or bank doesn't loan me, war breaks out, tariff breaks out, and banks decide not to loan, even though I'm ready to take the debt? Can I put the clause that in unforeseen circumstances or something not in my control, I can walk away from the deal? Most were clueless and said you can't do anything about it. It'd be a shame if you have thought of this scenario and something like this eventually happens to you and it's not your fault. Realtors' primary job is to carry out this transaction safely, and in that case, they'd fail. If you make a deal now, don't allow for more than 2 months closing unless you're getting benefit out of it. I have an option. Can you make a quick closing and allow owners to live there, pay you rent until deciding moving date, and sign an N11 form?
Wow, there's a lot in that question, Parth. So, the first part, you could put in any clause you want. You could for sure put in a clause saying, listen, if between now and closing something happens, and you could list the scenarios if you want that are beyond your control that you get out of the deal, for sure you could put that in. Don't count on a seller accepting that kind of clause. That's the real reason it doesn't get used. And as far as not being able to close, when you sign the agreement of purchase and sale, you're signing on behalf of yourself and your estate. Because one of the scenarios that are unforeseen is that the purchaser may pass away before closing. That has happened. It's a real life scenario. You never know. And so it's also your estate that is responsible for closing on that. So it's not just you, but your estate. So that's one thing. Now, as far as closing early, allowing the seller to stay there, many people do that. There are precautions there.
Well, that in itself is a very difficult option because that will change depending on the lender and how much they know and the insurance. That will change because then it becomes a rental property.
Yeah, it could change your mortgage. Like there's a lot of factors involved there. So you really got to look into that. But lots of people have done that. But you really got to look into that. Plus, one of the rules of signing an N11, I believe, is that you cannot give the rental on the premise that they sign an N11 up front. I think that's part of the rule also. So you're getting into landlord and tenant board issues. There's all sorts of factors involved with that. People do it, but you got to be careful.
But we also see a lot of N11 signed that don't get that don't end up following through.
Yeah, the tenant can still stay.
Yeah, and so I think that the best way is to just kind of try and do as early of a closing as possible. Because someone else commented underneath this and said basically like I should have a financing condition until the closing date.
No, you can't. Well, look, you can. Your obstacle is getting the seller to accept that. Because remember, the seller's looking for the funds from the purchase to do whatever they want to do next. And if at the last minute your condition allows you to pull out the day before closing, why would a seller accept that?
Mm-hmm. And so, I think in a lot of these situations, like you read something like this, and there's a lot of situations where, you should just put yourself in the seller's shoes and think what makes sense. As the buyer, of course, you want to safeguard yourself. You want to protect yourself. But if you were selling that property to someone else, would you want the risk of knowing that person could pull out of that deal up until the day of closing?
Yeah. Well,
Like,
we should say, based on some of the comments that we've had, we're not taking the seller's side in this explanation.
Yeah.
We're just talking about practical, real life scenarios.
yeah,
Why would a seller accept that kind of a clause?
yeah.
I don't see any seller accepting that. I want to know my property is sold. I'm going to have a reasonable expectation it'll close on closing date.
Yeah. And so, okay, next comment here comes from 1AG18. And they say, Santo Spiritu.
Hey, Domino's.
What's the best neighborhood in Vaughan?
Ooh. How do you answer that question? What's the best neighborhood? It could be based on price. It could be based on available to public transportation. Now that we got the new subway line and the busing system's been updated, it could be based on walkability to shops. And I don't know. There's lots of great neighborhoods in Vaughan. How do I answer that question?
I guess it depends on what you're looking for. Are you looking for the best neighborhood, like price wise?
I could say go live in the neighborhood there by the National.
Yeah.
And then you're going to say, but starting price for a teardown's $4 or $5 million. I don't know. Like, I could say live next to, get a condo by the VMC there, the subway.
Yeah.
And you could say, I don't want to be that close to a subway. It's too busy. You know.
But I will say, I personally have a soft spot for the Bar Hill area. I have Maple. Well, specifically Keele, Rutherford, that little pocket there.
Yeah.
That's soft spot for me. You have any soft spots in Vaughan?
I like Kleinberg.
Yeah. That's a soft spot. Okay.
I like old traditional Kleinberg, not
new.
Not
Kleinberg.
not that I dislike the new, but we're talking about favorite spots. I'm not dissing any neighborhoods. Otherwise,
I think you just dissed every neighborhood by not mentioning it. But those are the soft spots. So next comment here comes from Alil 2005, and Alil says, "Is real estate crashing now? Honest question." Careful.
I don't want to watch yourself. Oh, that's a question.
Yeah.
Is real estate crashing? I don't know if I want to use the C word, crash, but for a while now, it is softer, trending softer and softer and softer every month. I'm using the word softer as opposed to crash for obvious reasons. Softer, it's just trending downward. We don't know for how long still it's going to continue, but it has been for a while now trending down.
Okay, so next question and last question here comes from Ricky Lung. And Ricky Lung says, is there any way to take advantage of this down market to move up when your current home is down in value?
Well, this market, if you had to pick who does it favor the most, this market, as prices are trending downwards and softer, it favors the buyer, but more specifically, does favor the move up buyer. There's still, in some cases, some competition in the entry-level freehold market.
I was going to say,
and prices have not,
I think,
adjusted as much in the entry-level freehold market. But in the luxury market, in the higher end, the homes you'd move up to, those have taken the biggest hit.
I was going to say a caveat. I think who does this advantage? And we talk about move up buyers, but maybe not necessarily the move up buyer that's going from a condo to a freehold, because those are incredibly difficult to move right now. Right?
The condo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you're selling a condo and getting into a freehold. You might have some challenges because the condo's tough to sell and you're taking financially a hit on that. And the market you're getting into is still somewhat competitive, the entry-level freehold market.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
You're not ending it with a strong, positive,
you know what?
Your YouTube channel is awesome type of comment.
That's
the only reason I do all this is for that last comment.
I Yeah, I let you down this week, pal.
Oh, buddy.
As soon as I got back from this vacation, I feel like I jumped onto a treadmill that was at 20. And so it's just,
That's it. See,
I'm trying so hard.
another reason that this
It's
whole
okay. It's
you
okay.
taking vacations is just not a good idea.
I learned my lesson. No more vacations. But
No
you know
more
what?
vacation.
Instead of a nice comment, we'll take this time to say thank you to everyone that watches here. You know, we have so many people that consistently watch and comment on every video, and we're so grateful for that. It's such we've been doing this for, I think over 5 years now.
Over 1,000 videos.
We have over 1,000 videos, and I have to say we still have so much fun doing it, and we still get so excited when a video goes out and we see people watching and we see people commenting. It's such a great feeling. So thank you guys so much for all your support on these videos. And yeah, we'll leave it with that for today. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
Have an awesome weekend, everybody.